Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was the first little hit of world that the 10-year-old version of me couldn't get enough of. Back then, I spent hours upon hours watching gameplay of all the games back on YouTube, but then when I entered high school, I played Black Flag and rode religiously. But I'm not gonna lie, I never really played those games properly. I skipped the cutscenes, used cheats just so I could get to the part that I actually liked playing about these games, the open world pirate fantasy. But this time I decided to play it properly and I ended up thoroughly enjoying it as well. Today, 10 years later, Black Flag, in my opinion, still holds up. And it's mostly because of the ship combat and the fleshed out open world. Black Flag has an amazing open world, but this game was the start of the dumbest open world design from Ubisoft I've seen, the collectibles. For example, the Animus fragments are just a useless collectible that you most likely have to go out of your way to get just so you can 100% the game. And you could argue the same about the sea shanties, but at least with the shanties, there is some mechanical enjoyment and mechanical skill and required during the catching, and some satisfaction you get from it as well. Whereas fragments don't have any of that. And after Black Flag, it's not hard to believe that 1 year later we got something like this. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back, but back to the open world of Black Flag. The world is very fleshed out. Even contains letters you can find around the world, which basically devolve into wiki articles and wiki entries. But they are still very interesting and intriguing. They're the letters from the last known sage before Roberts, Thomas Cavanagh. I think that's how you say it. I have no idea. Honestly, I never knew these existed until I read this. I did this playthrough, and reading through most of them was very fun and a lot of explained a lot about the sage as well. Whereas now the most useful collectible in the game is obviously the chests, which I made sure to collect most of at the start of the game, which does give you somewhat of a head start. But later on, it does balance itself out, and you don't need to spend as much time as collecting them anymore. Most of your time in this game would be spent in your ship, the Jackdaw, fighting other ships, plundering through the open world, and upgrading your ship and making it the most formidable on the seas. It's actually kind of weird that in the DLC Freedom Cry you find it being shipwrecked after Edward gives it to the Brotherhood, but goddamn, that sailor must suck, because that captain must have sucked, I tell you. Jackdaw was so powerful. And this is a part of the game with the most depth, the ship combat. Land combat, whereas land combat is very, very trivial and easy to do. While ship is where the difficulty is, right? What weapons to use, what distance you're at, what side to use, if you want to ram or not, if you need to board right now, right there and then or not. This does pose a threat. This is where the game does shine. And fighting multiple frigates and man of wars in the later game at the same time is so satisfying. Though they do still pose a threat, but after you're through that, it's so satisfying, it's so much fun. And of course, the worst part of the game is obviously the bloody tailing missions. They fucking suck. But everybody talks about them, so I'm just gonna move on. And move on to the combat on land, which mostly devolves into two key button presses, depending on if you want to be more aggressive or defensive in your playstyle. For the defensive option, you have to just wait till the enemies attack, press E, and then press the left click button on PC for an instant kill. To counter attack them, they will just instantly die. But this doesn't include brutes or captains. Or and then with the same bunch of enemies, if you want to be more aggressive, you can break their defense and then attack them. Break their defense by pressing space and then attack them with left click to again instantly kill them. This combo also works on brutes but doesn't work on captains. For captains, it's a bit more tricky. You have to wait for them to attack, counter, by pressing E, break defense by pressing space, and then either you can just mash collect and just destroy them, or you can press break defense again, go behind them, and instantly kill them again. This includes a whopping 4 button presses against your usual 2, which does mean that the land combat is not deep, but the animations are flashy. When it works without bugging out, it looks great and is satisfying to do, but it most likely will bug out on you, because this game is comparably, if not equally, as buggy as Unity, and not enough people talk about that. But the reason we don't feel it as much is because Black Flag is constantly has small bugs over and over and over, whereas Unity has huge bugs just once randomly. But genuinely, the pirate fantasy part of this game is fucking amazing. The grind to max out your ship is tough, but it's not not out of your reach. It always feels at your arm's reach, and you do have to be careful to not fuck up some of the important boardings if you want some resources really quickly. If you're like at the edge of getting the upgrade and you really need that resource, and you have to like make sure you don't fucking fuck up the boarding. And every small ship you can find needs to be looted, which later on does end up becoming tedious, so you just sink the ships and take the loot penalty and move on to find other ships, because it's much easier to do. Right. Though I did love the blueprint system. To be able to completely max out your ship, you need to find blueprints to almost every upgrade, which adds even further prerequisites, but it gives you a reason to actually engage with the treasure maps, the diving mechanics, and it's honestly very fun. The last thing you'd probably do is the legendary ship battles, which are also great. All 4 of them have their own gimmick, and honestly figuring those out was a lot of fun. For example, one of the ship can only be damaged in the rear or with the motors. Another one, you are fighting 2 juiced up man of wars at the same time with insane speed. One of them is super fucking quick. These are tough, but with the maxed out ship and some experience, and once you figure out the gimmick, they become easier. That leaves us with the main story, which is decent. There are heartfelt moments where you are yelling at the screen, and there are moments where you're yelling at the screen because Edward is being dumb, and moments of joy and laughter. In my opinion, the story does work. It's not Ezio level, but it is good enough. It's better than Trona. Better than some other games. But the modern day is just a walking, talking Wikipedia article. It's cool if you're into reading a shit tons and watching some videos for that sweet, sweet dank lore, but it is just a walking, talking Wikipedia article. In conclusion, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is a great game if you haven't played it already. You should, but as good as I claim it is, it does have a lot of jank and bugs while still being a lot of fun, and has a very intriguing story that could help you think about some of your own life decisions and reflect on your own life and ponder a little bit. So, as one of my favorite games out there, I can't recommend it enough. But that being said, thanks for watching.